Doug Deacon, you probably know, was in the middle. And then the first guy was Don Cockcroft, the kicker. By the way, if you haven't seen his book, which is an encyclopedia on the cardiac kids, you might want to check it out. It's a great holiday gift.
He was in attendance at the game yesterday with Coach Sam. That doesn't get any better than that if you're a Browns fan.
They were signing autographs yesterday?
Yes.
All right, is it a rivalry? First up, Kenny Roda.
It's always going to be a rivalry, but the level of the rivalry has dropped dramatically since the Browns left. That's when it really started to change. If you remember, after the '95 season, Steeler fans were in support of the Cleveland Browns. Their arch rival, their enemy was in support of the city and the fact that they lost their team. And then when the team came back, it just hasn't. I mean, first game back, 43-0 Pittsburgh, and since then the Steelers have been in total control. And then the Ravens, the old Browns, became good, unfortunately, right? That's OIC. Only in Cleveland does it work that way. And the Steelers have added a new rival, a bigger rival in the Baltimore Ravens. So, yeah, because of the turnpike, how close and everything, the two cities are, it's still going to be a rivalry. But until the Browns, as Deke said, get back to winning at least one game every year and then sweep a season series here and there, it's not going to be what it once was.
All right, Matt Hayes, is it still a rivalry?
No, and I think that when you look at the video we just saw from the Muni lot proves it. Look how ridiculous we sound when we're talking about Steelers fans. It's almost as if we're the little kids on the playground and they're the big kids and we're trying to take them down, and it just sounds absolutely ridiculous. I would say, though, between Pittsburgh and Cleveland and the Ravens and the Browns, I'd say the Ravens and the Browns is a much bigger rivalry now than the Steelers is. I grew up in that 90s section when the Browns left and then came back. I don't know what it was like before. Now, as a newer Browns fan, I look at it and go, oh, it doesn't seem to make sense. A Baltimore-Cleveland rivalry makes so much more sense because of what happened in the early 90s.
All right, what do you got?
Well, I can tell you what, the angry Browns fan in the Muni lot is exactly what I was talking about in this rivalry. Did you see the faces that were down there in the Muni lot? They're young faces. They're people who have not experienced this rivalry, so to speak. All they know is people, maybe their dads, their moms, their brothers, their older brothers, whatever, hated the Steelers. That transferred to them. But that's all that's transferred, Andy. I looked up the dictionary definition of rivalry. The act of rivaling competition. This is not a competition. It may be a rivalry because our states are close. It may be a rivalry because we're in the same division, but this is not a rivalry on the football field until it becomes a competition.
For the fans, it's a rival like a high school football game, but that's about it. That's as far as it goes. I don't think the players, especially what Greg Pruitt said, guys spend 3 years on a team and that's it, and then they move on, and you got to put yourself in the middle of another rivalry. The other thing I think that has taken away from this, and these are big factors, and they go beyond football. Look, first of all, when we lost the team here in Cleveland, it was a devastating blow to what was the rivalry. And let's not be crazy about it. There really haven't been that many great games between the Browns and Steelers historically. I mean, there really hasn't been. You're talking about one competitive period in the 70s, 80s, and that's about it.
Well, the playoff game in the 90s, or in the new era, was by far with Kelly Holcomb in the big lead.
All right, so I'll give you one thing.
That was it, right.
But the other thing, too, is that you've had an integration of people from Western Pennsylvania that have moved into Northeast Ohio. And, it's hard not to go to the grocery store and not see Steelers stuff. There are major corporations that are now located in Northeast Ohio that have big Pittsburgh roots. And so some of those people have moved over here to work, and I think that's part of the deal, is that we're almost this megalopolis with Pittsburgh sometimes, and it's a regional thing that I don't feel it anymore. And I think part of it is, and I was looking at a map of Facebook followers and their Browns and their teams that they're loyal to, and the pocket of Browns fans, and we all know Browns backers are great. The pocket of Browns fans in this country is us. It's just us, Northeast Ohio. So until they start winning and start letting people think about Hank Aaron used to sit in the dog pound because he loved the Browns, but no one ever knew he was there. I don't think those people are there anymore. The diehard Cleveland fans that are Browns backers across the world, those are Browns backers, but outside of Northeast Ohio, I don't think it plays. All right, Eric, what do you want to do next?
We're going to grade the team.
Grade the team.
We're going to keep this short. We got Chris Fedor, Kenny Roda, and we're getting Matt Wilhelm. We got a full gang here.
Oh, good. Chris is on the line. Where's Matt? Matt's on.
Matt's on Skype 1.
Okay, good. All right. So first topic. What do you want to grade, Eric?
Let's grade the defense.
All right, we're going to start off by grading the defense. We'll start with Chris Fedor, who's on the line. Hi, Chris. Go ahead. Did I put you on it? No, I didn't think.
Because going into the game, you know, the one area where I thought they would be okay or they would be able to handle is the leading receiver in the NFL, Antonio Brown. And I figured, okay, you're just going to put Joe Hayden on him, and that's going to force Ben Roethlisberger to have to throw to Emmanuel Sanders and Jericho Cotchery and Heath Miller and all those other guys. And Joe Hayden had his worst game so far this year. So I would go with, boy, for the defense, they didn't get any pressure on Big Ben. Joe Hayden had a tough time. C- from me, guys. I was relying on that defense to rattle Big Ben, and they just didn't.
C-. Matt Wilhelm, grade the defense, my friend. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you guys too. You know what? Again, I agree with the last gentleman. I believe I'm actually going to go a little bit lower with the consistency that they brought to the Cleveland Browns and kept them in games by limiting points. I'm going to give them a D+.
Matt Wilhelm, D+. Got a Super Bowl ring to prove. You wearing it? Are you wearing a ring?
Not at 8 o'clock in the morning, no.
Kenny Roda, grade the defense.
Wow.
You see that?
Yeah, we see it.
Oh, yeah.
It's an F.
F, no turnovers, right? They didn't create any turnovers. 0 sacks on Big Ben with an offensive line that's been like Swiss cheese all season long. Didn't create any great field position for the offense. Joe Hayden gives up the play that changed the game, in my opinion, and he's the one guy that you were counting on. And the Steelers almost ran for 100 yards when they couldn't run for 70 for most of this year. I thought the Browns' defensive line would dominate this game. They did not. No, big F for the Browns' defense.
All right, Mike Cairns.
I'm going to go, after, listening to the guys, I changed once. I'm going D-. And again, I think Matt made some great points, and Kenny too. The defense, first of all, no turnovers. You don't get to Big Ben. You don't put any pressure on him at all. You let him sit there and pick you apart all day long, and that's not the defense that we've seen that's kept this Browns offense in games where they're able to win. I got to give them a D-.
All right, I'm just going straight D. They'd be an F, except for the fact they were on the field the entire game. That's why. They'd be an F for me if the offense hadn't put them in such a bad position. That's why they were a D. I'll give them a teeny bit of credit. Eric, next topic.
Wide receivers.
Wide receivers yesterday. Matt Wilhelm, why don't you start us off? Wide receivers.
Is this well, I think, Josh Gordon setting a single season Cleveland Browns record was very impressive. It seemed like he was the only wide receiver putting forth the effort to attempt to get open. I know that a lot of those yards did come at the end of the game in cleanup duty, but you know what? Kudos to him for running routes and getting open and making his stock look good when his contract is up. If I had to grade to grade the group overall, I would have to see. I would have put them. Gordon having maybe an A performance. If Gordon got an A performance, I would still give them a C or C- because Best and Little were nowhere to be found.
All right, let's go to Chris Fedor. Hi, Chris. Chris, grade the wide receivers.
Yeah, I got a Super Bowl ring too, just like Matt does. You can't see it right now, and I bought it on eBay, but I do have one. If I have to grade the wide receivers, I'm going to go with probably a B- because I agree with what Matt said in terms of Josh Gordon. You know, the biggest takeaway that I had from yesterday's game is that, okay, the Browns have a legitimate playmaker going into next season, somebody where they can just feel great about. They have a true, legitimate number one wide receiver, somebody who's going to put fear in the opposing defense. So he gets a huge grade, but Devon Best didn't play great. Jordan Cameron had some drops. Greg Little had another drop. So as a unit, I've got to drop it down a little bit.
Let's do you.
I'm going to give Josh Gordon an A, obviously.
Right.
But the wide receivers, to me, are going to get an F. Not enough plays were made, dropped balls. Especially, too, you mentioned Brandon Whedon. First pass for him coming out, throws to Jordan Cameron, he drops the football. That, to me, set the tone right then and there. So, overall, a C.
Kenny Roda.
I'm in agreement with Mike Cairns. Josh Gordon was outstanding, has been all season long. He's the one true playmaker that they have on this team. But I'm looking at the stats here. Jordan Cameron was targeted 10 times, caught 3 balls. Devon Best caught 5 balls for 27 yards. 5 yards per catch. Are you kidding me? Everybody else, not named Gordon, and F. Gordon gets an A, so right, the C- for the overall group only because of Josh Gordon.
I'll go B minus again. The only reason that it came back up, B minus for the wide receivers, and I'm going B minus only because of Josh Gordon. That's the only reason why. Otherwise, I think it's a D, and he was an A, and you got to bring it back up. And the play calling I thought was pathetic. When you've got two linebackers sitting there, that's it. I mean, they never ran a route that came back in. Everything went out. Go back and watch the tape. I know from the first half watching that game, everything they ran was to the sidelines. Everything. Nothing down the middle. What happened to the vertical offense? What happened to Norv Turner having this explosive offense? I didn't see it yesterday. And the only reason that it's even on there is because Josh Gordon had a decent day yesterday. A great day, I should say. More than that. All right, what do you got, Eric?
All right, last question, quarterback play.
Quarterback play. Let's start with Chris Fedor as I break my board. Chris, what do you got for quarterbacks?
Guys, I got to go with an F. It's a quarterback league, and that's what it comes down to. And you've got to have a guy who's going to go out on Sundays and give you a chance to win. And, every time I watch Jason Campbell play or I watch Brandon Whedon play, one word comes to mind. It starts with an F. So I'm going to go with an F there for those guys, because even if he was dealing with injured ribs and he was under pressure at times, I'm sorry, man, that the Steelers' defense is not what it used to be. You got to go out and find a way to make some plays for your football team.
Matt Wilhelm, quarterback play.
I concur. I'm going to go with an F as well. I think the fact that we can't keep Jason Campbell on the field hurts us, and we have to refer back to what would be the third-string quarterback on our football team in Brandon Whedon. Neither one of them made the plays necessary again against, as he said, a Pittsburgh Steeler defense that is just a shade older than I am, and they're just not getting it done. And I think that this week the Browns have to go out and get somebody. Otherwise, we're gonna have Devon Best as our backup quarterback again.
That's a good point, Matt. We'll see you later. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
You got it, guys. Thank
All right,
you.
Go get a workout in with your hoodie on.
I will.
And don't forget, he'll be on our Ohio State special on Saturday.
That's right. And speaking of that, Kenny Roda will be there too. Kenny, what are you giving the quarterbacks?
Big fat F, failure. This is a quarterback-driven league. Your quarterbacks have to make plays. Did you watch last night, Brady and Peyton Manning? Even though Manning had somewhat of a down game when the game was on the line and needed to tie it up, Manning made some plays. Brady made some plays. Cam Newton made some plays. Ben Roethlisberger, great game plan. They made the linebackers and the safeties have to cover yesterday, and the Browns linebackers and safeties do not cover well. Crossing patterns underneath. You're right, Andy. Everything was to the boundaries, to the outside, nothing across the middle where there was some open field, and you want to make those Steeler linebackers and the aging safeties cover. They did none of that. So you're right. The game plan was not good. The play calling was not good, and the quarterback play was even worse. A big, fat F for the Browns quarterback.
Mike Cairns.
Well, I got to agree with Kenny, and I also have to agree with what Chris Fedor said. If Ben Roethlisberger will be, and this is how we look at yesterday's game, if he's the A in yesterday's game, he had 102 quarterback rating, a couple of touchdowns, the offensive line, he didn't get sacked. If he's the A in yesterday's game, you absolutely have to give the quarterbacks of the Browns an F, because they turned the ball over, they didn't make any plays, they didn't do anything to put their offense in a position to even be considered in that football game yesterday, so they have to be getting an F.
I don't even have a grade lower than F, so I'll just go 0. That's what they were. It was a 0 yesterday. Brandon Whedon's got to be ready to go. He knows that. He understands that he's ready on the next play. I actually feel sorry for Brandon Whedon. I don't know if I should or not. I'm sure most people, I don't feel sorry for him. He's getting a paycheck. He got thrown out there. First pass he throws, it's dropped. I wish I could just erase that game from my mind from yesterday. I wish I could do it. 0 is being kind.
Yeah.
I think I can't even come up with anything. Chris, final thoughts on the Browns from yesterday?
I was so excited a couple of weeks ago, guys, thinking that the Browns were going to be playing in a meaningful game against the Bengals. They were saying all the right things heading into that game. It seemed like they were ready for that game. Then they come back and they lay an egg. And then I wanted to see how Rob Chudzinski was going to rally his troops as a first-year head coach and see if he could get them re-fired up for this rivalry against the Steelers. And I think it just goes to show that the Browns still are far away from the Steelers. They still are far away from the Bengals. The gap that I thought was closing in the AFC North is still not closing, and the Browns still have such a small margin for error. And until they fix the most important position in the NFL at quarterback, they're simply not going to have a chance. Sure, maybe here and there they can beat the Ravens, or maybe here and there they can beat a team like Buffalo, but you're not going to be able to compete and get above 500 until you fix that quarterback spot.
All right, just one quick question for you because I know it's important. Did you see Miley Cyrus last night?
Of course I did, yeah.
Did you see? Okay, what would you rather watch? Miley Cyrus sing in front of that cat or the Browns game from yesterday?
Oh, man, probably the Browns game. I guess lesser of two evils. That was just terrible last night. And it took the place of my favorite show on Sunday nights, Revenge. So that was a double whammy for me.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, thank you. We'll listen for you on 92.3 The Fan. Thank you, Chris.
You got it, guys.
Outstanding. Always does a great job. Chris Fedor with a great perspective. Kenny Roda, Kenny, we'll come back to him again in just a few moments. Again, would you rather watch Miley Cyrus or would you rather watch the Browns game again?
As disturbing as Miley Cyrus was with the kitten, I think I would much rather watch Miley Cyrus and the kitten with that whatever outfit she had on than that Browns game. I just saw it again on Good Morning America, and I started watching it again while you were talking, so I zoned out a little bit.
All right, let's I'm confused on what do you want to do? Where do you want to go with this?